Good morning, everyone. Thank you for waiting while we had all of our speakers log on to the call today. Thank you for joining us for the BPM Change Management PRR Review Monthly Meeting. My name is Nicole Hines, representing the ISO Customer Readiness, and I will be facilitating today's web conference. Today's call is being recorded. These recordings are for informational and convenience purposes only, and any related transcript should not be reprinted without the ISO's permission. As a reminder, these monthly calls are structured to stimulate an honest dialogue and engage in different perspectives. While we welcome comments and questions, please remember to keep comments professional and respectful. We will be taking questions throughout the call today. If you are dialed in by phone only and not on the WebEx, you can enter the question queue at any time by pressing #2 on your telephone keypad. If you are connected audio through the WebEx platform, please use the raised hand feature located in the chat box in the lower right-hand side of your screen. When presenting questions or comments, please introduce yourself before asking your question. If you need technical assistance today during the call, please send a chat message to our event producer. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss proposed revision requests that are in the initial recommendation stage of the process. We will be discussing 8 PRRs today. 2 are in the initial stage and 6 are in the recommendation stage. All PRRs were submitted by the ISO. The purpose of the BPMs is to set forth business practices that implement the ISO tariff. The ISO conducts a yearly policy initiative roadmap process to consider and rank initiatives. Policy changes submitted through PRR processes will be referred to the policy initiative roadmap process. Each subject area in the BPM is based on enabling language in the ISO tariff, and the PRR process cannot be used to introduce changes that are not supported through existing tariff authority. Our first BPM today is the Settlements and Billings BPM. We have 4 PRRs in the recommendation stage, and I'm going to pass it off to Matthew to discuss these PRRs.
Hello, everyone. PRR 1399, the reason for this revision is we had a new contract with Wafa and Tang. The configuration change addresses settlement losses on COTP transmission line. The BPM configuration will charge these scheduling coordinators in COTP at Tracy COTP ISO intertype based on gross import-export and loss factor in charge code 6976 and allocate those revenues to a single WAPA SC ID charge code 6976. And PC allocation of transmission losses under control agreements are directly impacted. The effective trade date for this change is April 1st, 2021, and anticipated implementation date is February 16, 2022. Recommendation comment that expires that's already expired, and next step is post-final decision. Any question on PRR 1399? No questions? Okay, moving on to next. PRR 1398. This has to do with the updated BPM configuration guide to support day-ahead nodal pricing model, phase 2 ancillary services. For phase 2 of nodal pricing model proposal, it was requested that ISO expand phase 1 to include ancillary service features leveraging existing DAM, full network model, and real-time EIM to provide EIM merchants with nodal pricing model. The Cal ISO will provide any participant that elects to utilize day-ahead nodal pricing model with advisory settlements inclusive of ancillary service spend, non-spend regulation up and regulation down. The updated configuration guide GMC bid transaction fee 4515 5.7 and pre-calc ancillary service 5.11 supports this advisory settlement features of this initiative. Cal ISO anticipates implementation of BPM changes on or about February 16, 2022, with effective date of February 16, 2022. Any questions on PRR 1398? Okay, let's move on to the next. PR 1397, updates to VPN Tariff Amendment adjusting the meaning of business day. The reason for this change is on November 4th, FERC issued accepting ISO's filing on September 8th, 2021, of revision of its open access transmission tariff to use a separate undefined term, business day, that aligns with the dates. Any questions on 1397? Okay, let's move on to the next, please. PR 1394, update BPM configuration guide to support a day-ahead nodal pricing model, phase 2 ancillary service initiative. The reason for this revision is based on city ticket 227737. The issue here is being resolved is basically the settlement system does not assess FERC fee on statements executed after T+70 business day. And this clarification will align initial with recalculation statements. This impacts charge code 4575 by updating BPM Rule 4.1 to also exclude yearly FERC fee over under recovery and FERC fee settlement charge code 525, 550, 551 from triggering charge code 4575. Also an update for variable name to align with existing design template name conventions. This is a retroactive to February 1st, 2009, and it's a documentation-only clarification as anticipated by November 31st, 2022. Any questions on PR 1394? Okay. Next. Thank you all.
Thanks, Matthew. As a reminder, you may hit pound 2 to enter the question queue or select the hand in the lower right-hand corner of the WebEx. The next BPM we're going to talk about is market operations, and we have 2 PRRs in the recommendation stage, and I'm going to hand it over to Michael to discuss these PRRs.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Martin. So I've been here for 24 years in both settlements and operations operator. So I hope to be able to answer any questions for any PRRs. This first PRR 1396 is on the base schedule submission deadline when it's adding a special rule to the BPM, the market ops BPM, regarding base schedules that are submitted below PMIN. And what this is, it's a change to the way our expected energy, total expected energy is calculated for any energy under PMIN. The TE expected energy will be calculated to match the base energy. And at this point, we don't have any recommendation comments, and the expiration of the comment period actually has just expired. And are there any questions on this change? Okay, very good. Okay, the next PRR 1395, it's on interchange transaction and electronic tagging. This is a clarification to a process that the ISO has the authority to do now, and we're providing full disclosure that tags can be unilaterally adjusted to the RUC schedules after the day-ahead publishes. This is important so that in this example that an export, that the sync BA knows the RUC schedule. The process is recommended that scheduling coordinators do the tagging of the energy profile to the RUC schedule, but we reserve the ability to change it to the rec schedule if the scheduling coordinator fails to do so. So at this point, there's no comments. Same thing here. The comment period has completed. And any questions on this change? Okay, very good. Back to you, Nicole.
Thanks, Michael. The next BPM that we're going to talk about is our credit management and market clearing BPM. We have one PRR in the initial phase, and I will be handing it over to Christina. As a reminder, if you're on the phone, you can hit #2 for questions, or if you're logged in via the WebEx, raise your hand in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Christina?
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Christina Billing in Treasury and Credit, and PRR 1400 is revisions to Section 8.4, which is related to market participants leaving the California ISO markets or incurring substantial changes to their activity levels with us. We added some additional clarifying language to support our current documentation out on the CAISO website to affect this new change. This will be effective at the end of the PRR process. There have been no initial comments, and the comment period expired on January 19th, and our next steps will be to post a recommendation for this PRR and updated language. Are there any questions on PRR 1400? Okay, Nicole, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Christina. The next PRR is our candidate CRR holder registration BPM. This is in the initial stage. So PRR 1401 is for additional information for CRR holders terminating the agreement. The reason for this revision is to add clarifying language for CRR holders subject to load migration and also wish to terminate their CRR holder entity agreement. This change states that a load-serving entity that is subject to load migration and wishes to terminate their agreement must have 100% of its load transferred through the CRR monthly load migration process. After the load migration process occurs, the ISO will verify that all of their CRR positions net to zero, or if there's a rounding from a load migration process, we can then terminate the request. It's approved, and the ISO will transfer any CRRs that are remaining after that to the CRR balancing account due to rounding at the beginning of the next quarter. As of right now, we do not have any initial comments received. The comment period expired on January 19th, and the next step is to post recommendation. Do we have any questions today about this PRR or any of the other PRRs that we have talked about today? Okay, not hearing or seeing any questions. That concludes today's BPM meeting. The next meeting will be February 22nd at 11 a.m. If you do have any questions, comments on any of these PRRs or the PRR process, please email us at vpm_cm@caiso.com. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a great day.
That concludes our conference. Thank you for using Event Services. You may now disconnect.